Hello, 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 and welcome to The Discerning Otaku, a place where I've come to post my opinions on the important things in life, anime and manga. You've seen it all before, but this time it's with my choices, so get ready for some possible hot takes and me gushing over whatever random slice of life is pulling in my heartstrings currently. Since 2022 was a banger year for anime, I'm going to just cut to the chase and get right into it. This list will be in no specific order. I will not be including sequels in this list. This will just be shows that started in 2022. And just a reminder to like and subscribe if you enjoy what I'm doing. Thanks so much, and here we go. First up on the list is Slow Loop. Slow Loop is an adorable little slice of life about protagonist Hiyori Minagi. Her father has passed away and she spends her time fishing to try and remember him as it was their favorite activity together, and it's her way of remembering and being closer to him. She is an introvert who would rather be out fishing than anything else. Enter Koharu, an energetic, seemingly absent-minded girl who stumbles onto Hiyori one day. Lo and behold, destiny had come to play because their parents had been remarried to each other. Thus begins an unlikely friendship-sistership as they bond over the things they enjoy. Hiyori attempts to teach Koharu fishing, and Koharu attempts to bond over cooking. It's a fluffy show with little in the way of unneeded drama, but I found it to be very relaxing and an enjoyable watch from beginning to end. It also has loose connections to another show I'll be mentioning later, Bocchi the Rock. But if you're looking for something that's just very calm and just very easy to get into, and it's just going to be a nice little popcorn watching show, I definitely recommend Slow Loop. Next up on the list is going to be My Dress Up Darling. Now this one did get a lot of attention, mainly due to the artwork, and it kind of blew up in the anime scene. But it was a huge surprise to me this past year. It's an incredibly beautiful slice of life about Wakana Gojo, a Hina doll fanatic craftsman, and Marin Kitagawa, the most popular in school and a closet cosplay fanatic. Though it seems they have nothing in common, it quickly becomes apparent they have feelings for each other as he delves into her world by creating costumes for her once he sees her passion, and she slowly learns why he is so passionate about Hina dolls. The animation and character designs for the show are absolutely stunning. The character progression is also extremely well done, with the entire cast of characters growing emotionally as they learn their true motivations within their passions. This quickly became one of my favorites based on the character writing and designs. It is a very, very well done show, and I highly recommend this one. You should definitely check it out. Next up is Aharen-san. I'd try and pronounce the full title, but I don't want to mess it up, so Aharen-san is the type of show you watch for the will they won't they dynamic, when you don't want there to be any massive negative events, truly a quote-unquote fluffy show. It's about a quiet girl named Reina Aharen and her slightly odd seat neighbor, Raido Matsubushi. Reina is nearly impossible to hear. She talks very quietly and has to invade personal space to be heard. And Raido wants to be seen as a normal teenager since in past years he was seen as standoffish due to his face always looking angry. So what follows is a back and forth filled with misunderstandings, solely due to them trying to become more accessible to the people around them. It's an adorable little romance about two strange but endearing characters. Once again, the show is filled with hilarious misunderstandings where Raido's imagination gets the best of him time and time again. I also do enjoy the manga for this, but this video is about anime, so I'll have to save that for another time. Lycoris Recoil came out of left field for me. It sells itself as an assassin show where the assassins are high school girls fighting in the shadows to keep the peace through whatever means necessary, but it comes off as so much more as the show progresses. It follows protagonist Chisato Nishikigi, a Lycoris dropout who works from the sidelines using non-lethal means, and Takina Inoue, a Lycoris who has recently been fired from the main group for not following the orders of her superiors and putting people in danger. What follows is an action-packed, character growth-driven story about friendship and following your ideals. The animation is absolutely stunning, which is no surprise since it's from A1 Pictures, and they definitely know what they're doing. The character designs and voice acting are also top-notch. I wouldn't call it a sleeper hit because it did get some press fairly on into the season, but not enough people had this on their radar, which is truly a shame. The whole cast is well-rounded and written extremely well, and the story is paced perfectly with a good amount of interesting characters that just were very, very well-rounded. I definitely recommend this one, especially if you're looking for something a little bit more action-packed. Next up is Uncle from Another World. Uncle from Another World has gone through some problems during its run. Initially set to run earlier in the year, it had to pause production due to COVID, but made its return towards the end of the year. The story is about Yosuke Shibazaki, the titular uncle, and his nephew Takafumi Takeoka. The story begins when Yosuke comes out of a coma and is revealed that he has been isekai the entire time, so it's almost a reverse isekai. The show is filled with niche references to Yosuke's love of Sega consoles and video games, and his apparent lack of knowledge in the current tropes in video games and anime. He uses the magic he still has from the other world to show in a very home video way the adventures he went on while he was there. An incredibly funny and well-written story that parodies and also celebrates anime and video game culture. I definitely recommend checking this one out for something that's just a little bit different. It does have some niche references to things back from the 80s and 90s, but it does a well enough job putting everything in perspective, and the characters really shine through their writing. So definitely a wonderful one that is currently airing on Netflix, and they're trying to finish up its first season run. Next up is the Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting. I did not think I was going to enjoy this one, but I was pleasantly surprised. The story is about Yakuza crazy man Toru Kirishima, as he is tasked with watching over his boss's daughter, Yaika Sakuragi, where once he would go all in fists of flying, he is taught that there is a different way to solve his problems. What follows is a heartwarming and heartbreaking story of character growth and development. Not quite a father-daughter story, but it does play it close to that field. I never felt that there were any surprises that popped up and kind of knew what was going to happen, but I was always choked up with the delivery of certain plot points. It's definitely a well-done show in the genre and deserves some recognition. The character growth from beginning to end is very, very massive, and you get to learn a lot about the backstories and personality types of each individual character and why they are the way that they are. It doesn't play it as goofy as Way of the House Husband does. It's definitely a much more heartwarming show, but it definitely holds its own with what it's trying to do, and it does a very good job of it. Go ahead and check it out. Call of the Night. There isn't much that I can say about Call of the Night that hasn't already been covered by people such as Gigook, Mother's Basement, and Glass Dimensions. They've all mentioned this one, but to me it was also one of my favorites, so I felt I should say my piece about it as well. Call of the Night is about junior high student Ko Yamori and his search for motivation in a world he feels disconnected from, and vampire Nazuma Narakusa. Ko doesn't go to school and suffers from anxiety-induced insomnia. He meets Nazuna while on one of his many night wanderings. She asks if he wants to become a vampire. What follows is almost an existential look at what it means to be human and to exist in a world where you don't feel you belong. The entire show is absolutely beautiful. It's one of the prettiest shows on this list. The color and music choices are some of the best I've ever seen. The night sequences just feel different with the vibrant blues and purples with the lo-fi beats echoing in the background. I haven't read the source material as of yet, but the cast of characters and how they each deal with what they feel are their deficiencies are incredibly well written, and the exploration they do to delve into themselves as people is truly wonderful. Like I said, you've probably heard about this one, but I wanted to give my piece about it because I do think it's a very special show with how it was shot and how it was scored. So definitely check this one out. Next up is going to be one of the isekais from this year, was Reincarnated as a Sword. It didn't really break any new ground as far as the isekai genre goes, but it did kind of meld its own unique area. A man dies, as is pretty common for isekai, and is reincarnated as a sword. Clever, right? This, however, is just the starting point, as he quickly finds out he is a sentient sword with full magic capabilities. He then, using what I would assume is just going to be prior video game knowledge, he uses this to overpower himself, and soon he falls prey to an area that saps his magic and makes him immobile. Enter the entire reason to watch this show, Fran. Fran is a black cat who has been enslaved. When her group is attacked, she is able to wield Teacher, the name she gives to the sword, to defeat her attackers and enslavers, thus freeing herself. From there, the story plays out in a near daddy-daughter aesthetic, where Teacher is always looking out for Fran's interests and her main goal of evolving and showing people that the Black Cat clan is worthy of not just being enslaved. Pretty standard. Loads of personal growth and finding out what drives them to be better in the world they are in. Fran, like I said, is the main reason to watch this show. She's an adorable character who at times seems almost too innocent for the world she was in, and teacher has to step in to help her. Definitely not a groundbreaking show in the slightest, but just based upon their interactions and Fran overall, I definitely say check it out. Now, I love me some anime of cute anime girls doing cute anime things. I don't hide this from anybody. I think it's a wonderful genre just to be able to turn something on and just be able to be relaxed. So, lucky for me, Do It Yourself was this year. Now, it's a fantastic anime in a near-future society where everything is tech-based and AI handles all basic things. There's a DIY club at one of the local girls' schools. The story is based around said club, and the main absent-minded protagonist, Serafu. There isn't too much to say about this one other than it was a pure delight to watch. The art is very, very beautiful. It's slightly different than a lot of the other shows that I've seen. There are minor hiccups here and there in the story, but it's mainly about friendship and growth and the joy of doing things with your loved ones and doing things with your hands. Do it yourself. If you're looking for something that's just calm and warming to watch, then this is the one for you. I myself had a very pleasant time watching it. I found it very akin to a lot of other shows like Let's Make a Mug, a little bit similar to Super Cub, which I think the art style reminiscent of Super Cub a little bit. So if any of those kind of pique your interest, I'd say definitely give it a shot. Akiba Maid War is the next show on this list, and I did not know what I was getting into when I started it. Set up as a maid show, it definitely is more a Yakuza gangster show. I feel this one kind of got slept on due to how it was sold. It is by no means a cutesy show, although there are cute moments, which are then very quickly overshadowed by just moments where there is so much violence and so much hilarity, it makes no sense. Main protagonist Nagomi Wahiri moves to Akihabara to become a maid because she has always just found them to be super cute, but soon discovers not all is what it seems when she finds out that there is actually fighting amongst the cafes. Enter 35-year-old Ranko Manen, who has just been released from prison for an earlier maid killing. They become friends in what follows is a story of violence, with many characters learning what it means to be a maid in Akiba in the 90s. From beginning to end, this one is fun. It is basically a Yakuza show wrapped in a maid blanket, and I highly, highly recommend it. Bocchi-chan, Bocchi-chan, Bocchi-chan. Bocchi the Rock is next, and it was one of my absolute favorites this year. The show follows Hitori Goto, or Bocchi, as she will be called for most of the show, who is an extremely introverted girl with zero social skills who spends her time in her room playing guitar and posting videos on YouTube to feel like she's being social and normal. She dreams of a day when she can drop out of school and be a rock star and have people like her for that instead of being seen as the weird quiet girl. In an effort to try and facilitate this, she starts taking her guitar with her to school to try and have people approach her, which does not work. As she is walking home feeling dejected one day, she is confronted by Nijika Ijichi, who tells her she's the drummer in Kesoku Band and is in need of a guitar player for her concert. From this point on, you get to see how truly introverted Bocchi is with her wild imagination and crazy antics. The cast of characters are all amazing and well-rounded, each with their own issues to overcome. The music is great, and the scenes where the band plays are incredibly well animated. Hands down for me, for contender for one of the most enjoyed this past year. It is truly a marvel. If you like K-On!, it's in this very similar vein. It's a little bit more sporadic and surreal with the imagination scenes that incorporate so many different types of animation. I think it is truly a unique standout this year, and I'm truly, truly hoping for a season 2 of this one. Alright, we're to the end of the list here, and this next one is Love Flops. I hesitated putting this one on the list. It was not really one of the best this year, honestly, but it kind of had the biggest what the hell moment for me. It was sold as a generic harem comedy. You know, you get one every season, every couple seasons. They're just kind of ecchi. They don't really have a lot of depth to them. but about halfway through the show, it became so much more than that. I am going to include spoilers for this towards the end of this little snippet here, so if you want to be surprised, then please stop the video here and go check it out. If you don't care, then please continue on. The story follows Asahi Kashiwagi as he leaves to go to high school. That's basically where you start. He receives a note from his father stating that he'll be meeting 5 individuals, of which he needs to pick one to be his arranged wife. That morning, he receives 5 very lewd confessions of love, all during an incredibly ecchi scenes of utter nonsense. And this was basically all before he gets home that day. From there, we have a Chinese assassin, a magical girl, a boy who's a girl, a hentai-obsessed American, and one normal girl, all vying for his attention. It sounds insane, because it literally is. However, spoiler time. Around episode 7 or 8, the tone of the show becomes dark. And all of a sudden, the world around him crumbles, literally crumbles. You see a lot of red flashing in the sky with error messages. At that point, he wakes in a normal world where the girls don't exist. And this is where the show takes a turn, and this is why it is on my list. Apparently, he had volunteered to be a part of a virtual world experiment to try to teach AI how to love and how to have actual genuine feelings. But something had gone horribly wrong. The reason he volunteered for it because the girl that he loved, his childhood friend, had recently died, passed away. Her father had actually created the AI program, unbeknownst to him. And because her memories and her personality were used to help create the AI, within him actually entering into the world, it triggered a lot of her memories to leak into the programming, and it caused, issues. The show starts off as somewhat seemingly utter nonsense, and it turns into a study on death and sadness and what it means to be alive and to feel. I was not ready for it, and from what I've seen online, neither was anybody else. A lot of the YouTube reviewers of certain animes put this as a trash show, but then the comment sections, once this all opened up towards the middle part of it, it kind of flipped around and became something that actually had real depth. If you don't mind watching 4 or 5 episodes of pure ecchi to get to something that is truly unique, I highly recommend this one. Well, there you have it. The shows that have me coming back time and time again over the year. Everything on this list is obviously my opinion, but I do hope you check out some of them. And let me know down in the comments if you enjoyed them and what ones you enjoyed this past year. As always, like, subscribe. Let me know down in the comments what you think. Let me know what anime you're watching or what you think I should watch. And we'll go from there. I'm the Discerning Otaku. Thanks for watching the video. Keep watching anime, and have a great day.